Steve from SewingGold.com, and we're going to give you a brief lesson on how to wind your bobbin a little differently than, it's not different than we have on the video on the DVD, but it's just going to be a little more in depth. Okay, go ahead and wind. So you got to make sure you go through those discs. It has to go in the discs. Don't go on the outside of the discs. Now, to tighten, this is your tension on your bobbin winder. Tighten it is clockwise, loosen counterclockwise. Sometimes you have to tighten it a little bit to make sure that the bobbin is not wound too loosely. Okay, we're going to put our bobbin on the bobbin winder. We're going to put the thread through one of the holes. Okay, it's engaged, but what I want to make sure is that the foot is in the up position and you have no thread in the machine, unless you want to sew while you're winding a bobbin, which is fine. Otherwise, you want to make sure you have no thread in it and the foot in the up position. Okay, and we're going to wind our bobbin now. So now, as you can see, that thread breaks right off there. Now stop for 1 second. Now, if we look real close, if I can get this to focus, you see how tight the thread is on there. You don't want it loopy on the bobbin. Okay. Now, also, it's a little uneven on here. You can see on the left side there's a little more thread. So what we would do is we would loosen this screw right here, and we would move this piece over just slightly, and then that would even that out, and there would be an equal amount of thread. So continue. That's good. Okay, so what's going to happen is this thing's going to, once the thread there's enough thread on there, this is going to pop. If you see you don't have enough thread on the bobbin, it doesn't fill it all the way, just tighten this screw right here down a little bit and it'll add a little more thread. And the opposite, if you have too much thread on the bobbin, just loosen this piece and then it'll put less thread on the bobbin. Okay? So now we're going to show you how to put the bobbin in the bobbin case. Okay? Make sure that your bobbin thread, it doesn't matter which side it's coming off, just make sure your bobbin thread is nice and tight on the bobbin. Okay? Go a little slower. Come on out. Take it out again. Okay. Oh, no, take it out. Okay. So can you turn it where it's facing up? This is facing up. Up. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so now show that side. We're going to go through that side and then through the clip. Okay? And then you're going to put your bobbin into the machine. When you put the bobbin in the machine, let me hold that for a second. When you put the bobbin in the machine, you want to put it in holding it like this. You do not want to be holding the bobbin with that clip right there. That's only to remove the bobbin case from the machine. So like I said, when we put it back in, we're going to be holding it like this with the thread off to the left-hand side. And you're going to want to hear it click when you put it in. Okay? Now the other thing that I've heard from customers that they're breaking thread on the bottom would have to do with that bobbin case area, or if you have any jagged edges inside the plate. So if you've broken any needles, the actual hole of the plate, if it has any jagged edges on it, that could break the thread. Breaking the top thread is usually, the problem would be that your spool has the actual thread caught underneath, caught on one of these. Okay? So if you're sewing and then every few inches it's breaking, you know that the thread is too tight and it's caught underneath the spool. The other thing also could be that your needle's in backwards. What you need to make sure, can you turn that light off? So on the point of the needle, I'm going to try and zoom in. See if I can get that without shaking too much, too close. Okay, so the point of the needle, if you look at it, has a little groove on the right-hand side of the needle. That little groove at the bottom of the needle has to be to the right. So when you thread the machine, the hook assembly passes right where that groove is. If that's on the opposite side, you can also break some thread. Okay? So if you have any questions other than what I've just talked about, please give us a call, 888-505-4565. I am Steve from SewingGold.com. One more thing I want to show you is threading the machine again. On some of the machines it has a little disc on here. You don't have to worry about that. If you don't have the disc on it, this one doesn't have the disc. You would go through the hole and then around the little disc, but with this we're just going through the hole. and then through this hole twice. Just go a little slower. And now this is the most important part, going through the tension. You want to make sure the foot is in the up position. You're going through those discs, okay? Through the discs, over the check spring, underneath that L bracket, okay? Keep going. Through that guide, and then now we're going to go through the take-up. And on the other side of the machine, the same type of guide. Another guide above the needle. Through that hole right above the needle, and then threading from left to right. Don't worry about it. Okay, so you're going to thread the needle from left to right, and then you're ready to sew. So that was the last thing I wanted to show you, just so you know how to thread the machine properly, just in case it wasn't clear in the other video. So if you have any questions, like I said, give me a call, 888-505-4565. Thank you.